So in letter 9, Screwtape talks about, well, what the demons aim to do when we feel ourselves caught in what he has termed a trough. When we feel that we are, well, in a low spot. When things are just kind of dry. When we don't have the sort of energy or vitality that we have on our good days. That we have when things are going well. And the different attacks that a demon attempts to aim at us fall in one of, well, three categories that he outlines in this letter. And the first is the distraction. It's a distraction through sensual temptations. Now, these sensual temptations to gluttony, to lust, temptations to extravagance, these are the sorts of things that are really effective in the troughs, more so than when we are at our peaks, because it's here that, well, Screwtape says we have the less potential to actually resist it. So even though when we're feeling good and things are going our way and we have more energy, and you might think, well, it's then when we have the most energy, when things are just a little bit more palpable, when things taste good, when things are going our way, that we would be more easily tripped up to, well, just eat all of the ice cream or to watch the rest of the movie and to fall into some sin of extravagance. Actually, it's when we're feeling good that not only do things feel right, but we're also more on our guard. We're able to resist the temptations to excess. It's actually when we are in our low spots that we have a less potential to be able to actually resist. So even though our energy is down, our appetite is low during these times, the temptations to sensual things are going to be a little bit more effective here than somewhere else. It also is something where Screwtape outlines that those sensual temptations are more easily perverted when we are at our low point. When we're at our high point, we actually want, well, life. We actually want things to build us up. And so we're more readily kind of on our guard to make sure that what we are taking in is going to be things that are actually good for us. Whereas when we're down, we kind of, well, lower the bar. And so we allow ourselves to kind of settle for goods that are more twisted, more perverted, less able to be what they're truly meant to be, right? When it comes to food, you might think that when we're hungry, we're probably more prone to eating too much ice cream so as to make ourselves feel sick. Then when we've actually had a good meal and then dessert comes out and we think, yeah, I'll have a couple scoops of ice cream, that will be good. We're a little bit more easily able to moderate when we have all of the other good stuff, the veggies and the steak and everything else underneath it, than when we're just kind of ravished and hungry, when we're barren. We tend to be able to kind of pervert the goodness that is before us, whether it's ice cream or something else, And there's another reason why Screwtape presents to Wormwood why he should use this method of attack, this attack through sensual temptation. It's because the troughs kind of complement a temptation's formula. So see, Screwtape admits that every pleasure is a good, and that every good was created by God, that the demons don't create goods. They don't present goods to us. The way that temptation works is that it has to twist something that is good, but twist it out of context. So go back to the example of a meal with ice cream afterwards. Ice cream is meant to be a dessert. It's meant to be something delicious at the end of a meal. It's meant to be a treat. It's not meant to be the full meal. That would be a perversion or a twisting of what it is meant to be, of the good that it is meant to give. And whenever we twist a good or take it out of context, we void the natural and the true pleasure that comes from it. We lessen the amount of good that is truly available to us. And so we don't experience it in its full goodness. And this is true of any sort of pleasure. Whenever we take it out of context, we always compromise and we lessen or dampen the amount of pleasure or the amount of goodness that is truly that it is truly capable of giving. That's what temptation's formula is all about. Screwtape explains it this way. The formula is them trying to get us to have an ever-increasing craving, an ever-increasing desire for an ever-diminishing pleasure, an ever-diminishing return. So a demon's attempt is really to get us to really, really crave things that really, really don't give us much of anything at all. You know, it's when we really, really desire one thing and we don't get much out of it at all. Or in fact, it only destroys us and makes us sick. Maybe we have a hangover the next day. That's exactly what a demon desires to do through this distraction. That's the first thing that they'll try to do. The second thing that a demon will try to do when we're in a trough, when we're in a low period, is to make us err by wrongful thinking. They try to lie to us. And their lie is this, that worldly things are meant to last and last and last. This is in complete contradiction to what Screwtape just said in the last letter, that law of undulation. The fact that we are, well, composites of spirit and matter, and because of that, we experience things in change, that nothing really lasts, not in this world, not while we're here. And yet what this error in thinking lies or purports is that, well, something was meant to actually last, and the fact that you don't have it, or the fact that you're in the middle of it, is something that is should send you into, well, despair. That's one of the two reactions that we might have to this lie. We think of despair, that all is lost, that we have been overcome by, well, this low period, and that the only way we can get out of it is to try to muscle our way out of it. Otherwise, it's just going to last forever. You know, don't leave yourself in the dumps. Try to work your way out of it, because it's not like you're just going to go back up when you probably are. You're probably just having a bad day. You might just get better on your own, right? And the other way of reacting to it is this wishful thinking that really all is well, that the trough is now the new norm, that the trough is now the new height. And so what we do is we lower our bar further and further down on what we expect from life. We just expect things to be, well, bad. This is the way things always were, you know. It's like, how do we react to 2020? We might, well, just kind of lower the bar and just say, well, this is just the way that things are. There's pandemics, there's elections, there's turmoil, there's just politics and all this different advertising, you know, and we just kind of live with it. And we don't actually allow ourselves to expect, no, things should not be this low, but things should actually be a bit higher. And so we can sometimes err through that wrongful thinking, through buying into the lie of the demon. The other direct attack is another lie. It's a direct attack on the faith. But this lie works in the opposite. The first lie works by, well, contradicting the law of undulation, saying things are going to stay like this forever, which is untrue. But then the opposing lie is an exaggeration of the law of undulation. It's saying that everything is temporary, nothing is meant to remain. But that's just as much untrue, because not only are we, well, part of this world as material beings, but we're also, well, spiritual beings too. And we do have, well, certain eternal principles that we are made for, things that are meant to last. For instance, our religion. The truth of our religion is not something that will ever change. It's not something that is temporary. It's not something that is fleeting. It's not something that will change because of custom or because of what is popular. It will be what it is always. Why? Because it purports the truth, and the truth is eternal. And yet this attack against the faith would say that no, it's okay. This is just a phase that you'll live through, that the church will go through, that the world will go through. But eventually this phase will give way to something else, and that will give way to something else. Nothing is permanent. But indeed, we know that there are some things that are permanent. One of those things is our soul. The demons are trying to get us to, well, neglect it, get rid of it, and just forget about it. And yet the Lord wants us to, well, allow it to be redeemed, allow it to be saved. And that's why we need to fight against these distractions, these errors, these attacks of the demon, most especially when we're vulnerable in our troughs, and allow, well, just the law of undulation to kind of take its course, to persevere, and to allow things to naturally be on the rise again. If we look to the Lord will give us what we need. Let us be open to that, and let us continue reading this book with hopeful ears as we push on to letter 10.